For Black History Month, we are celebrating trailblazers who became leaders in their field and helped change the course of history big time. This morning, we hear from two civil rights attorneys. One is Fred Gray. He was a lawyer for Rosa Parks during the Montgomery Bus Boycott back in 1955, and Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. An Alabama native, Gray is now 89 years old. Benjamin Crump is a renowned attorney known for representing the families of the slain teenagers Trayvon Martin in Florida and Michael Brown in Missouri. Crump, who is 50 years old, practices law in 5 states and in Washington, D.C. Gray has mentored Crump for more than 20 years. We brought them together at the Tuskegee History Center in Alabama to talk about their life's work and paving the way for countless others in the modern civil rights movement.
I didn't have the privilege of going to any integrated anything.
Yes, sir.
And my whole idea was to destroy segregation. I started going to the NAACP meetings, and I met Rosa Parks. We would sit and share our lunches and talk about the problems. So on December 1st, it was like any other day that we had talked. We had our lunch, came back late in the evening, and I had phone calls from a whole lot of people. And I found out that Ms. Parks had been arrested. I went over, she told me she wanted me to represent her, and I told her I would. But I also told her, I said, well, Ms. Parks, you know, we've been dealing with this problem on the buses for a long time now. But you know, there has been talk in the community about people staying off of the buses as a protest. And if we're going to do that, now is the time. To make a long story short, went across town to Joanne Robinson's house, and we sat in her living room on the evening of December 1st and the morning of December 2nd and made the plans for the Montgomery Bus Boycott. But then we said that we need to have the preachers involved in it.
Amen.
A majority of the Negro citizens of Montgomery, Alabama, have refrained from riding city buses since December 5th.
That's how Dr. King was introduced. And then officially, Dr. King was made and appointed the spokesman for the group, and the rest of it is history.
Outrage over the fatal shooting of 17-year-old Trayvon Martin.
Protesters are demanding the arrest of that neighborhood watch captain.
I think a lot went into the background of people knowing about Trayvon Martin and this kid who was walking home minding his business when this neighborhood watch volunteer with a 9mm gun profile pursued and shot him in the heart. 2 days later, his father called. I cannot articulate the sound that was coming from his voice, this sound of heartbrokenness. He said, my son, Trayvon Martin, was walking home from the 7-Eleven, and the neighborhood watch volunteer shot and killed him. There are two battles. It's the battle in the court of law and the battle in the court of public opinion.
No justice, no peace.
And I understood that the only way we were going to win this battle in the court of public opinion was going to be with the young people and the young energy and those young people who will become Black Lives Matter. It was the young people on social media who got Trayvon Martin to mainstream media. And it was a lesson now that has been duplicated dozens and dozens of times since then.
Frequently, people will say, well, Fred Gray, they say you did so much in the civil rights movement. I never did see you out there marching. I said, that's correct. I only marched for ceremonial reasons. My role was not to march. My role was to get the law and have the law protect the individuals so they could march.
We are not afraid.
The Civil Rights March consisted of people doing a lot of things. Some made speeches, some marched, Some did legal work, but it took all of it. But it was because we worked together and was able to do it. But the struggle continues.
I always marveled at what Dr. King said when he said we all have a role to play in the struggle.
Oh, I got goosebumps watching that piece. I mean, every time I see Trayvon Martin's face looking at the camera that way, it makes my heart skip a beat, because I took that story so hard at the time, and I got to meet his parents, and it just didn't make any sense. And we know the role that Benjamin Crump played.
Yes.
And now Fred Gray talking about Rosa Parks.
I'm so glad there are people like Fred Gray still around to tell us those stories.
Tell us a story.
It's amazing how much things change, but also how much they stay the same. You saw the pictures in the Rosa Parks era, people on the phone calling each other, organizing, and then with Trayvon Martin, you saw the phones like this, sharing the videos, people organizing.
Yeah, and it's amazing how one phone call like that from Rosa Parks to Fred Gray can change so much.
That's still the same today. One phone call can make a difference.
Yeah.
Special shout out, mommy hug to Dina Fry, who did that. They call her D Fry around here, because you don't know this at home, but it's very hard to do a piece with no track where you just have people telling the story. Nice job,
It's a lot of work
Dina.
and beautifully done.